The Ashes. It hits differently. You can take your T20 cricket, your IPL, your white ball stuff and you can stick it. The Ashes is elite. It's where legends are made, and today we're going to captain England in the Ashes for all 5 tests and try and bring home the urn for the first time since 2015. The squads are picked as they are in real life. Moeen Ali is in, and Cricket Captain 2023 has just been released, so let's go. First test. The first big decision's been made. Based on the deck that it is, I fancy the fast bowlers, and extra pace and Motwood could come in handy. The Aussies, though, they know something I don't. 2 off-spinners in the lineups. Matty Renshaw gets the nod as opener over Khawaja. And the series starts as bad as it can, with Bairstow selected over Ben Foakes, spilling Matty Renshaw. Anderson showed his class bowling Warner and Renshaw from around the wicket, and Broad trapped Marnus LBW 21 for 3. And when Anderson got ahead, caught at slip, they were 4 down in the first hour. But the Aussies chose to fight in a traditional Aussie way, counter-attacking cricket from Smith and Cameron Green. Smith was looking set on 44 when Jimmy produced some more magic once again, and the wickets continued to tumble, with Carey nicking off to Harry Brook at slip. And when Robinson got Lyon, we bowled Australia out for 156 in 2 sessions. Advantage England, advantage us. Bazball was the nature of the series, and we've got to try and keep up with a 4-run and over rate, but we'd do it without Ben Duckett, who was trapped LBW for 2. Zach Crawley did get the memo along with Ollie Pope, who went to 50 from 82 balls, but was shortly followed by Zach Crawley off 86 balls. The good times rolled through to the final ball of day 1 when Crawley pulled it away for 4. And at the close of day 1, we're only 42 runs behind with 9 wickets remaining. But day 2 would belong to Australia. Todd Murphy got Pope early doors, Mitchell Starc would rearrange Crawley's stumps, Murphy would spin out Joe Root. It was Australia's session. We'd gone from 117 for 1 to 236 for 8 and would be bowled out for 245. Australia started poorly, which is the Australian way in England, losing Warner and Marnus Labuschagne for 14, both to excellent lines of Ollie Robinson. And then Brody would rattle them down to 46 when he had Matty Renshaw out around the wicket. But Steve Smith is class, and Travis Head was Trav Ball before Bazball was a thing. From 47 to 3, they played stroke after stroke after stroke and looked undeterred at being 42 runs behind our score when they came together. Travis Head was particularly brutal as we started to employ a short leg side tactic to try and slow him down. He went to 50 from 67 balls. And the fight back was fully on as they closed out day 2 72 runs ahead with 7 wickets remaining. We had to fight back on day 3 and take wickets early. A close run out almost gave the sliver of hope, but it was the old legend Jimmy Anderson trapping Head LBW and breaking Australia's stranglehold on the game. Robinson got green early the following over, and then Alex Carey decided to play one of the most outrageous assist knocks of recent time, passing 50 from 75 balls. And eventually Steve Smith went on and scored another Steve Smith century in England, 100 off 200 balls, and he manufactured the Australian fight back. When he's in, he's in. We'd eventually get him for 117 when Mark Wood got him to Sky One, but he was the architect in this Australian fight back. Carey would go for a 88 and Cummins for a duck, and T on the 3rd day, Australia had raced to a 264 run lead. The last 2 wickets fell quickly and we had 276 runs to win, Bazball style. Crawley cut and pulled Cummins hard early. Duckett was removed when cutting a straight one, and Crawley was looking in fine touch again after smashing Mitchell Starc down the ground for 4 before nicking off for 33. Australia picked 2 spinners to our none. Let's find out why. Todd Murphy got Pope on a pitch which had sharp turn now, and in the last over before close, Root survived a really close LBW appeal. At the end of the day, we needed 202 runs to win. Cummins got Brook the first over on day 4, caught it slip. Root, a great player of spin, was scoring freely until Lyon spun one sharply straight through him. Stokes got a peach and was on his way for 5. 4 wickets remaining. Bairstow would fight, hitting 4 quick boundaries, but would eventually fall for 31. Lyon spun his team to victory, bowling England out for 175 and finishing with 4 for 38. Steve Smith picked up the man of the match for his excellent 44 and 117. Australia were 1-0 up. But we competed, we won sessions, we won a day. There's a lot to like going into the second test. The first change that I've made is set up of the wickets, ensuring that they're going to be batter-friendly wickets. The thinking behind this is let's score freely, score heavily and use our seam attack to take 20 wickets and put more time into the game. Moeen Ali came in for Stuart Broad, giving us variety with 4 seamers and a spinner. And day one looks great for batting with it getting worse weather-wise. All we had to do was win the toss and bat. We're bowling. But don't worry, we've always got a plan for David Warner. Bowled Robinson for 22. Stokes shortly afterward got Marnus caught in short before we started to chase leather. Matty Renshaw was the opener of choice for Australia and he batted superbly. He batted long and he batted big. He butchered our attack for 167 off 275 balls. What made it worse was Steve Smith. We still can't get him out. He didn't just score 50 or 100. He surpassed 200, 216 from 366 balls at strike rate of 59. That partnership hurt us. Australia scored 547 and Alex Carey again once it came in again, putting his foot down, hitting 77 off 88 balls. Moeen Ali, the spinner of choice, went at over 5 and over and Mark Wood at 4.26. Not our best day at the office, but we've got to get back in this series. Don't worry, we've got Bazball. Crawley and Duckett raced along, cutting and driving to a 50-run partnership before Crawley went for 35. Ben Duckett, an exceptional player of spin, missed a straight one from Nathan Lyon. But Joe Root, he's just come in reading the Bazball book. He came in with mean intentions. 3 4s and a 6 to take his total to 19 off 7. The problem was he was out for 21 off 11 just a few balls later. And Ollie Pope followed suit, being dismissed by Stark. Stark's now got 3. Brooke and Stokes would shortly follow. Brooke made a meaningful contribution of 46. Bairstow, Moeen Ali and Ollie Robinson all added 30s down the order, but scoring 278 all out and being 70 short of the follow-on, were following on. The pitch was still good. Duckett scored a Bazball 47 off 37. The weather was good, and there's no reason to think we would have an issue. Lyon picked up Crawley to make it 119 for 2, but could we make the Aussies bat again? Stark got Root again, keeps causing him problems. Brooke has everyone round the bat and is caught in short. And at the end of day 3, we're plenty behind with 6 wickets left. The pitch is good, but surely we can make them bat again. Pope went to a nuggety 50 off 91 balls, as did Ben Stokes from 66 falls, now just 54 runs behind. Hazelwood nicked off Pope. Stokes got a Jaffa from Nathan Lyon. Bairstow batted as only he knows how to bat, hitting 4s and 6s. And when he was last man out for 31, we had done it. We'd made Australia bat again with 11 to win. We may have lost by 10 wickets, but we showed some fight. And we're going to need that if we're going to pull off the most unlikely Ashes victory of all time. The third test at Leeds was as big as it gets. Lose, and we've lost the Ashes in 3. Moeen Ali was dropped given the wet weather ahead, and Stuart Broad came back in, especially given his great record v left-handers. We won the toss for the first time, and for the first time we're going to choose to bat. And Harry Brook was about to announce himself on the Ashes stage. Duckett and Crawley were both removed in the morning session as we moved to 87 for 2 at lunch. Ollie Pope played nicely for 50 and Joe Root shared a 100-run partnership with him. Hazelwood did remove Root and we moved to 198 for 3 at tea, with the next session key. It was the last period of good weather for the test. And Pope started it up by nicking off for 82. Brook played and missed before launching Stark down the ground for 4. His intent was clear. It was a battle. More play and misses, more whip shots. Then tracking Stark for 4 through point. Australia took the new ball at 267 for 4. And that was met with another square cut. And the next one, Brook reached his maiden Ashes 50. 50 off 76 balls at a strike rate of 65. Stark was targeted over point. Cummins didn't fare much better. Brook was marching. He wasn't marching. Brook was charging to the end of the day. 314 for 4, 67 not out and a 97-run partnership with skipper Ben Stokes. Day 2, the weather got worse, but Brook didn't let up, immediately dispatching Hazelwood for 4. The short ball was punished again and again, either cutted or pulled. A 4 off Cameron Green took him to 99 and a delicate touch brought up an incredible 100 from 143 balls and moved England right ahead of the game. It eventually fall for 142 off 178 as we finished on 437. With 44 overs left on session 3 of day 2, the weather looked rough. An ideal situation for Jimmy and Broady. Broad got his bunny again, caught by that man Harry Brook. Marnus went LBW to Robinson and Matty Renshaw made 50 but eventually fell before the break to Stuart Broad. Steve Smith and Travis Hares caused us problems until beast mode. Ben Stokes cleaned up Steve Smith for 69. We had them 7 down when Travis Head went to another counter-attacking century. He's quite an incredible player before they finished 309 all out, giving us a 128 run lead. The idea was to bat big for 2.5 sessions here to put the required score up to 350 plus. The weather wasn't great, but it's a decent pitch. We're going to need the runs. Crawley played his own script though and nicked off, and was shortly followed by Pope and Duckett. Harry Brook cut his way to another 50. What a match for the young lad. And at lunch on day 4 we led by 322 runs, with Root 67 not out and Stokes 37. Another good hour and would be set. Brook scored fast but was eventually bowled for 82. Stokes went on to score 50 and Brody hit an annoyingly quick fire 38 for the Aussies as we declared 424 runs ahead, 4 full sessions under grey skies ahead to win the test and keep the Ashes alive. The final session of day 4 was all about pressure. Take a few wickets, take control of the chase, and we ripped them apart. 5 wickets in 2 hours, leaving them teetering on 76 for 5 going into day 5. Smith, Labuschagne, all gone. And when we got Travis Head for 34 an hour into day 5, the test was over. 2-1. We're still alive, we're still fighting. Manchester had another belter of a deck, but again the weather would come into play. Good to bat on for the first 2 days for whoever won the toss and batted. One change, Mark Wood made way for Matty Potts. Wood's been expensive all series, needs to take a break. And very strangely, Australia didn't choose Nathan Lyon, who had been outstanding for them all series, and went with Scotty Boland. Build the man a statue. We won the toss and said about it. May not surprise you, but Crawley went early. But Ben Duckett batted like he didn't have to leave early, cutting and whipping his way to 50 from just 52 balls. We went to lunch at 109 for 1 with Duckett and Pope looking set. Pope and Root went quickly, but that didn't deter Duckett, who played his shots and with a push down the ground went to one of the great Ashes centuries. He'd go for 131, but it had been a knock for the ages. Brook went for 42 and everyone else chipped in as we made 384. Not quite the big score we wanted, but maybe big enough. After Matty Renshaw had been feasted on our bowling, we went over the wicket and Jimmy cleaned him up for 3. Broad stayed round the wicket and got Warner caught and bowled. And when we got Steve Smith cheaply for 27, I know it isn't cheap, but it felt like we had control. Marnus and Travis Head proved hard to remove. Marnus batted beautifully for his 93, but eventually Jimmy got his man. Next over got Head, a huge wicket. And when Broad got the final wicket as Stark, we had a 109 run lead going into the second innings. We had a tricky hour to bat in the second innings with overcast conditions and made it through with just 1 wicket down. Crawley drove nicely and hit a huge pull shot for 6 to take him to 50. At the end of day 3 we had a 216 run lead and the second session looked a bowling session. Could we bat for 3 hours, score enough runs, let's put a foot down. Crawley would go for 65 and Root would go cheaply, but Pope will keep going and accumulating and will go to his first ever Ashes century, 101 off 143 balls. The lead was 324 going into the second session. Harry Brook moved to 50 off 74 balls before taking on the Aussies head to head. Cut 4, pull 4, drive 4, cuff 4. It was all Brook. And when he cut Cummins for 4, he had 101 not out off 143 balls. An incredible knock, right player, right pace, right time. Pope moved to 150 with a run down to third man and the declaration was called. Our run rate was superb and gave time back into the game. Australia needed 478 to win with 4 sessions to survive. But in life there's many things. But givens are death, taxes and Stuart Broad getting David Warner from around the wicket. And then Matty Potts got Labuschagne. 54 for 3 going into day 5. Overcast conditions, 7 wickets to have a chance to win the Ashes for the first time since 2015. Can we give ourselves a chance? First over, Jimmy got the big one. Steve Smith gone, caught in short. The dangerous Travis Head was caught from Broad. And 2 overs later, we had Cameron Green as well. The rest was a precision. And when Stokes got Boland out, Australia were bowled out for 156 from 2-0 up. It was now 2-2. And England are 1 test away from the most improbable comeback of all time. The Oval, the best batting deck in the country. We made no changes, nor did Australia, once again leaving out their best spinner. All we had to do was win the toss and bat. And we're bowling. But death, taxes and Stuart Broad. David Warner was on his way back. Renshaw and Marnus batted well, but Broad got Renshaw at a pivotal point when Australia were getting out of hand. Marnus followed up shortly after a well-made 89, and finally we got Travis Head out cheaply for 18. When Stuart Broad continued to take wickets from one end, Steve Smith eventually ended up 92 all out. Australia had been dismissed for 332 and Broad had 6. The reply needed to be a good one. We needed to score 400 plus, take control of the game, give our best performance, and Duckett cut his way to another good 50, this one coming off 53 balls. Zach Crawley moved to 50 from 100 balls with a nice swivel pull, and the partnership was 135. Crawley put Cummins in the stand as the partnership went beyond 150, and Duckett continued to bludgeon the bowlers. Hazelwood eventually got Crawley for 65, but the partnership was 166. Duckett with a clip off his legs went to 100 from 138 balls. Back-to-back centuries, and at the end of day 2, were 229 for 1, just 103 runs behind. Hazelwood got Duckett and Pope early on day 3, and England, well, were in danger of collapsing. It's game on. The Aussies took the new ball, but Root and Brook fought, cutting and driving magnificently as Brook went to another 50, and by the time Root reached 50, Brook had already gone off and was on at 95 off 147 balls. And with a little dab, it reached another Test match century. 169 balls, his third in the series, and his 7th in 12 Test matches. Stark picked him up for 117, but Root was still going. He played a missed off Cam Green on 99, and the very next ball joined the 100 club with his first of the series in a very quiet series for Joe Root. At 491 for 4, all eyes were on 600, and only batting once. Root continued up in the ante, moving past 150 with another fine drive off Mitchell Stark. It looked like he'd finally conquered Mitchell Stark after a poor series. And when the final wicket went down, we'd amassed 699 all out. Root 168, Brook 117, Duckett 135 and Brody with another annoying 45 for the Aussies at the end. Australia were 367 runs behind and had 4.5 sessions to survive. Insert repeat comment of David Warner wicket. Stuart Broad got David Warner again. Broad bowled Marnus. And when Broad is on, there is no one more dangerous in world cricket. He was in 8 for 15 mode here. Robbo got Steve Smith nicked off. Brody got Renshaw after a nice 50. And to be fair, Renshaw's had a good series. And 3 balls later, he had Cameron Green. Anderson got 2 quick wickets LBW for Carey and Stark as we went to lunch on day 5. England lead by 205. Australia have 1 wicket. From 2-0 down, they fought back. This may be the last time we see Anderson and Broad together on a pitch. Broad to Cummins. England need 1 wicket for the victory. He's hit him on the pads. He's done it. Stuart Broad has 12 for the match. And England have won the Ashes for the first time since 2015. From 2-0 down to 3-2. Bazball has officially conquered the Aussies.